They told him he could face 15 years behind bars. The tow truck driver who'd built an empire rescuing stranded tourists in the Utah desert now stood accused of fraud that could destroy everything. But the legal nightmare was only part of the story. Death, controversy, and loss followed Matt from Matt's off-road recovery like shadows in the sand. His closest friend gone forever, a fatal accident linked to his methods, and criminal charges that made headlines nationwide. What really happened goes deeper than any courtroom drama, and the price he paid was steeper than anyone watching could have imagined. Matt Wetzel wasn't supposed to be a YouTube star. The bearded, technology-challenged tow truck operator from Hurricane, Utah, started filming recoveries on his iPhone in 2019, expecting nothing more than a few local views. He'd spent 12 years in the roofing business before buying his first towing company in 2009, then purchased Winder Towing in 2013 because it had decades of reputation built into the name. His plan was simple: document the work, maybe attract some customers, keep the family business running. Instead, he struck absolute gold. His channel exploded to over 1.5 million subscribers, pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars annually just from ad revenue alone. The formula was simple but addictive. Tourists renting Jeeps and side-by-sides, getting hopelessly stuck in Sand Hollow State Park or near Zion National Park, then watching Matt and his crew perform mechanical miracles to save them. He ran it as a family operation with his wife Jamie, handling billing and working recoveries, his sons joining the crew, and a tight-knit team that felt more like family than employees. America fell in love with the rugged authenticity, the dogs running alongside recovery vehicles, the genuine problem-solving when a rental Hyundai Tucson somehow ended up on boulders it had no business touching, the wholesome vibe of a small-town business that happened to film everything. By 2021, Matt's off-road recovery wasn't just a towing company anymore. It was a brand, a community, a phenomenon. But success has a way of attracting the kind of attention nobody wants. December 2021 hit like a freight train nobody saw coming. Matt was charged with second-degree felony insurance fraud by Utah's Attorney General, and the accusations were brutal. Investigators claimed he'd collected over 15 grand from AOA through false claims between January 2019 and August 2020, right when his channel was taking off. The allegations weren't vague, they were specific, documented, and damning. One case involved a Polaris RZR off-road vehicle recovered from Sand Hollow State Park in April 2020. The recovery was even posted on his YouTube channel for everyone to see. Problem was, AAA's policy explicitly doesn't cover off-road vehicle recoveries. According to investigators, the owner used his friend's AOA membership to cover the cost, and the claim filed with Delaware said Winder Towing rescued the friend's truck instead of the RZR. Completely different story on paper than what actually happened. Another case was even more brazen. AOA paid out $2,800 for 3 vehicles supposedly towed to Salt Lake City. But the person who submitted those claims later admitted to the Utah Insurance Fraud Division that the vehicles were never towed at all. Instead, Matt had delivered construction materials and told the customer to file AOA claims for payment rather than billing him directly for the hauling service. When investigators confronted Matt by phone in December 2020, he took responsibility but tried to justify it. He told them the claims were wrong on the front end, but fair on the back, insisting he never turned in a job that didn't have legitimate service tied to it. Prosecutors weren't buying that explanation for a second. The stakes couldn't have been higher, and Matt knew it. A second-degree felony in Utah carries up to 15 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. But the real threat went way beyond jail time. Matt's entire business model depended on his AAA affiliation, and losing that contract would trigger a domino effect that could destroy everything he'd built over more than a decade. Industry insiders pointed out the obvious. AAA Club Service franchise is essential to any towing business. Once that relationship dies, other insurance plans and towing contracts find out fast, and they drop you too. Matt had a fleet of trucks working Interstate 15 that viewers never saw in videos. That conventional towing work, the boring stuff that didn't make YouTube content, actually funded a huge portion of the operation. Estimates suggested his YouTube channel alone earned between $400,000 and $760,000 annually, but the towing business added serious revenue on top of that. The off-road recovery community watched in shock as the charges went public. Some fans didn't care at all, figuring insurance companies deserved whatever they got. Everyone's got an insurance company horror story, right? Others felt genuinely betrayed, realizing the wholesome family man they'd supported might have been cutting corners and committing fraud all along. Matt's attorney scrambled to work with prosecutors while the channel kept posting videos like nothing was wrong. But the shadow of felony charges hung over every upload. The comment sections filled with debates about his guilt. News outlets covered it. Forum threads dissected every detail. The empire he'd built was under siege. While legal troubles dominated headlines, the team was already grieving a loss that cut far deeper than any court case ever could. Ed Robin had been with Matt since 2009, back when the YouTube channel didn't exist, and Winder Towing was just another small-town operation grinding out towing jobs. Ed wasn't related by blood, but that didn't matter. Matt considered him family, and everyone who worked there felt the same way. Ed brought something special to the crew. He had decades of expertise, steady hands, and a calming presence during chaotic recoveries when everything was going wrong. Longtime viewers knew Ed's face, recognized his voice, appreciated his quiet competence in the background of those early videos. He wasn't flashy or loud, but he was the foundation, the guy who'd been there before the fame, before the money, before anyone cared about filming recoveries for YouTube. When Ed passed away in October 2021 from health complications, it absolutely gutted the crew. The tribute video showed just how much he'd meant to everyone. You could see the pain in Matt's eyes, hear it in his voice. Ed had been there when it was just about towing, before subscribers and merchandise and brand deals complicated everything. His death left a hole that no amount of subscriber growth could ever fill. The team pushed forward because that's what Ed would have wanted, but nothing felt quite the same after that. Every recovery where he should have been standing next to them was a reminder of what they'd lost. The videos continued, the views kept coming, but the heart of the operation had changed forever. Then came the story that made everything infinitely worse. Ryan Woods died during a vehicle recovery attempt, and the way it happened horrified the entire off-road community. According to witnesses, including his own wife who watched the whole thing unfold, the group had been discussing recovery strategies based on videos they'd seen on Matt's off-road recovery. They thought they knew what they were doing because they'd watched the channel. They were trying to pull a stuck vehicle using a drop receiver hitch with a tow ball attached. The problem was the setup created dangerous leverage during kinetic recoveries, something experienced operators know to avoid. When they made the pull, the hitch broke free and came through the windshield like a projectile, striking Ryan directly in the head. He died instantly in front of his wife and kids, just gone in a moment that never should have happened. Bob Wohlers, publisher of The Total Approach to Getting Unstuck Off-Road, wrote about the incident and noted the direct connection witnesses made to Matt's techniques. The off-road recovery world absolutely erupted in debate. Some defended Matt, pointing out he typically used welded pintle hitches mounted directly to receivers, not the dangerous drop hitch setup that ended Ryan's life. They argued the people attempting the recovery had the wrong equipment and didn't understand what they were actually watching in the videos. Others weren't so forgiving. They argued that YouTube recovery channels create a false sense of confidence, convincing amateurs they can replicate dangerous procedures without proper training, proper equipment, or proper understanding of the physics involved. When does posting content cross into dangerous influence? February 2022 brought resolution to the fraud case, though not the kind that erases damage or restores reputation. Matt pleaded no contest to a reduced charge, false or fraudulent insurance claim, a Class A misdemeanor instead of the original felony. He avoided prison, but the deal still came with consequences he couldn't escape. The terms were clear: 18 months probation, pay back the full $15,328 to SIPO-A, and fork over another $1,745 to Utah's Insurance Fraud Division. His attorney tried to spin it favorably, calling them technical violations, and claiming there was a dispute over process rather than substance. They insisted Matt's conduct matched 8AA's spirit of customer service, that he was just trying to help customers however he could. The Utah Attorney General's office declared themselves satisfied with the outcome. Their spokesman said that because Matt admitted guilt, agreed to pay full restitution, and would comply with probation terms, justice had been served in the case. Everything wrapped up neatly from a legal standpoint, but no amount of legal maneuvering could change what actually happened. The felony charge was reduced, sure, but the stain remained permanent. Every news outlet had covered the accusations when they first dropped. Every forum thread had debated his guilt for months. The no contest plea meant he accepted conviction without technically admitting wrongdoing, a legal trick that fools absolutely nobody. Matt kept posting videos, kept rescuing tourists, kept building the brand. But the fraud conviction sat on his record forever. The wholesome image took a hit it would never fully recover from, no matter how many successful recoveries he filmed. Success demanded sacrifices that went way beyond courtrooms and public opinion. The tight-knit team that built the channel started fragmenting, and watching it happen felt like seeing a family fall apart in slow motion. Rudy, Matt's eldest son from a previous marriage, left in April 2022 to start his own YouTube channel focused on fabrication and adventure. He wanted to tell his own story without the constraints of his father's tight production schedule, to build something that was truly his. Lizzie, the beloved welder who'd been part of the crew since 2020, departed in July 2023 after getting married. She moved to focus on ranching with her husband's family in Kane County, Utah, following her passion for horses and agriculture instead of vehicle fabrication. Trevor, the cameraman who'd captured countless recoveries, left in late 2022 for a job closer to home climbing communication towers. Skeeter moved to Texas oil fields around the same time, chasing better opportunities. Matt insisted everyone left on good terms, that doors remained open, that it was all natural progression as people followed their dreams and built their own lives. Maybe that's completely true. But watching key personalities disappear one after another while legal troubles dominated headlines created an unmistakable pattern that viewers couldn't ignore. The family operation that made the channel special was evolving into something different, something more corporate, something that couldn't recapture the scrappy magic of those early iPhone videos, when Ed was still alive, when nobody knew what insurance fraud investigators were quietly documenting, when it was just about helping people and filming the adventure. Today, Matt's Off-Road Recovery continues posting videos to over 1.5 million subscribers without missing a beat. The recoveries still rack up millions of views. The merchandise still sells through the online store. The charitable donations to Hurricane Utah organizations still happen, with over $600,000 raised for local causes over the years. On the surface, everything looks successful. The empire survived the storm. But the cost of building that empire tells a completely different story. A fraud conviction sits permanently on Matt's record, a stain that never washes away no matter how many years pass. Ed Robbins' absence echoes through every single video for those who remember the early days. Ryan Woods' family lives with a loss that some in the off-road community link directly to the influence of recovery content, convincing amateurs they could handle dangerous situations. Team members who helped build the channel from nothing have moved on to their own ventures, chasing dreams that don't involve towing trucks and YouTube fame. Matt survived the legal battle, kept the business running, maintained the subscriber count. He proved he could weather the worst storms and come out still standing. But at what cost? The wholesome family image cracked. The trust with some fans shattered. The team that felt like family scattered to pursue other lives. The cameras keep rolling in the Utah desert. Tourists keep getting stuck. Matt keeps rescuing them. But the heartbreaking truth is that success demanded a price nobody talks about in the videos. Some things, once lost, never come back.